God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs. Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more worked up than John Hammond hearing a safety briefing.
Welcome to episode number 21. I'm Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother Josh Winter and our geeky friend Jason Summer. In this episode, in this episode,
yeah, I got it.
Yes.
You know he has a soundboard. He can just, probably find that.
Yeah. Nope, that one will work just fine. In this episode, we are reviewing She-Hulk Episode 2, the new Saints Row video game, House of the Dragon Episode 1, and I forgot what I was going to say next.
I thought we froze for a minute.
No. I lost my train of thought. So, Jason, Josh, we have a lot to talk about today. But how you guys doing?
Hi. Good to see you guys.
Hello.
We're all recording from the same state in the same city, and we're still in 3 different locations.
And Jason, you're still on satellite. I love this.
I'm still on satellite, yeah. So I left my entire recording equipment back at home. So as much as I tried not to be on satellite, here we are.
I'm going to buy a new microphone just to keep it here for this.
It's probably a good idea.
I know, right?
Well, no, I meant like what if you have a guest star?
A guest star?
Yeah.
Ooh, who's going to be joining us?
Well, once we make it big, everybody will be wanting to join us. I mean,
well, that's true. That's true.
I tweeted Shatner, but
so Josh says William Shatner, he will actually be here in our town in April. So just putting it out there.
Yeah, I'm tweeting him every day between now and then.
Just spam him
Are you
until
really?
he says yes.
Yeah, I let him know that we don't have any money, but perhaps we could get him like a sandwich or
a crisp high five.
Yeah, a crispy high
yeah.
Five. So,
Right.
What are some nerdy things you guys have been doing this week?
Well, I found out that I was playing the wrong game.
You weren't playing Outer Wilds, Grand
Theft Auto, Vice, Andreas.
Vice Andreas.
No, so the game I was supposed to be playing was Outer Worlds, not Outer Wilds.
Oh my god!
And the person was my friend who recommended the game. I was explaining to him what the problem was, and he goes, "No, that sounds horrible. That's not the game." So now I'm going to have to try.
Yes, so there are 2
Outer
very
Worlds.
similarly named and similar gameplay games, Outer Wilds and Outer Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So you thought you were playing Outer Worlds, but you were actually playing Outer Wilds?
No. I thought the recommendation was to play Outer Wilds.
Okay.
He was playing the game he thought he was playing, but it was not the game that he was told to play.
Oh, okay.
Hey, there we go. Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So that was an effort and futility that I didn't need to make. So that's what I've learned geeky this week. Corey, what about you?
So I spent this week building some more Legos, but I took a little break from my city building, and I built one of their diorama sets from Jurassic Park. They released a set last year, maybe this year. Lego set number 76956. It is the T-Rex breakout, the iconic scene in the original Jurassic Park movie where the T-Rex breaks out of the fence and terrorizes the 2 Jeeps. But it's a diorama set, so it's meant to be just like a set picture from the scene. So I was building that, and it was a lot of fun. Actually has a lot of little Easter eggs and stuff, like the glasses of water, the little chain from where the goat. Where's the goat? So a lot of cool Easter eggs in this set. Fun little display set.
Is there a goat leg on the windshield?
It might be a little bit too violent for Lego.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know.
You can make one.
I was disappointed that they didn't have the guy in the porta potty part of it.
The lawyer.
Oh, the investment lawyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So sadly, that's not included, but oh well. What about you, Josh?
Nothing.
Okay.
I had the kids, and there was like a vid outbreak at work.
Oh no.
So we've all been working like around the clock if you're not sick.
So you say you haven't done anything nerdy. So obviously you watched some of our shows, but I was over there playing with the boys, and you turned on She-Hulk, and Philip loved it. He was engrossed. He is 2 years old.
Yeah, Philip loves Hulk, and now he knows there's a She-Hulk. And he kept trying to say Lady Hulk, but She-Hulk. He's a Lady Hulk. Lady Hulk.
He sounds like a very
She-Hulk.
formal gentleman.
Yeah.
He is very polite. He says all of his thank yous and pleases.
Oh.
We're very big on that here.
So something I want to point out to you guys, it was announced that National Cinema Day is coming up this weekend on September 3rd, this Saturday. And that means there are $3 movie tickets in over 3,000 movie theaters nationwide. It includes all films, all movies, all tickets, all formats, as long as the theater is participating this Saturday. So you can go on Fandango and find the participating theaters and everything. So you can go see any movie that's available in theaters this Saturday for $3 per ticket.
That's pretty cool.
Which just happens to come out on the same day that Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version, comes out. So you could go see Spider-Man No Way Home for $3.
Really?
Back in theaters with more
on Saturday?
On Saturday.
With more fun.
With more fun. More Spider-Man.
I wonder what I could be doing on Saturday.
Going to see a bunch of movies, too.
Well, yeah.
You could literally go see like 3 movies for the usual price of half of one.
Interesting.
Or you'd have enough money to actually buy snacks.
Oh, yeah.
A raisinette.
Mm-hmm. How much for a M&M?
Right.
Like one.
Right.
All right. And then before we get into our news, some programming notes on next week's episode. We will be talking about She-Hulk episode 3, House of the Dragon episode 2, and Lord of the Rings of Power episodes 1 and 2 that actually start airing later this week. So we're about to start getting into some jam-packed, nerdy geek culture TV shows. So hope you're ready. We're not. There's a lot to watch.
There's only 3 of us.
All right, you guys ready to get into some nerdy news?
Let's do it.
All right, we were actually starting with breaking news. And granted, it's not actually confirmed, so it's whatever. But the reports are starting to break as of this recording this morning. So we're actually recording this episode a little bit later than we usually do. We usually record on Saturdays or Sundays. We're actually recording this one on Monday, August 29th. So this episode actually airs the day after we record. But as of this morning, Monday morning, there's breaking news that Penn Badgley has reportedly been approached by Marvel Studios to play Reed Richards in the MCU. So Penn Badgley, he is most famous for his role in Netflix's You, the thriller TV show. And so, how do you guys feel about Penn Badgley possibly playing Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four in the MCU?
Well, this seems like a very deliberate choice to not go with like a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Or a fan expectation.
He's no John Krasinski.
Exactly.
I'll tell you that.
So that is interesting. If they do move forward with Penn, how do they explain John Krasinski? Because he is Reed Richards. Like, it's not just a different person in charge of the Fantastic Four. Like, it's the same character, Reed Richards, playing.
Yeah, but Reed Richards was a different universe. And we've already established via Spider-Man that
there we go.
He will not always look the same in every universe.
Yeah.
And so...
okay.
So no, and they even said, oh my gosh, Sam Raimi said just a little while back in one of his interviews that he always saw casting Krasinski as Reed Richards was really more of just a high five and a thank you to fans, and that he didn't anticipate how hard people would latch on to that. That he always meant it as an Easter egg sort of thing.
Okay, fine, but would have been awesome.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, if this report turns out to be true, and it is starting to catch fire, so it seems like a lot of my reputable sources are starting to share this news, so it seems like it is likely. So if Penn Badgley is confirmed and signs on to play Reed Richards, how do you guys feel about that?
I mean,
I don't know much about him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've never watched You.
Oh, it's so good.
And
so
to my
good.
knowledge,
Highly
that's
recommend.
kind of his His only huge credit?
He was on one of the soap operas. Hold on.
That's barely a credit. I'm talking about acting, damn it.
Right.
Oh, no, it was not a soap opera. It was Gossip Girl for several years. So
That's like a teen soap opera.
Oh, no, he was on a
That's in
soap
the
opera.
same-
Sorry. He was on The Young and the Restless for 2
He
years.
was on The Young and the Restless, for 10 episodes. So he's not been in anything that I've really seen. I think he was in Easy A as I don't know if that was her friend or not, Woodchuck Todd.
Well, I will say, so if you have not seen You on Netflix, I believe it's 2 seasons in now. I think there's a 3rd season coming, if I'm not mistaken. Highly recommend. It is an awesome thriller. He's fantastic.
Okay.
In it. So I'm
So
excited
what do you
by this
think
news.
then?
I think this is perfect casting. And you have to Marvel Studios has not really had bad casting. Like, I cannot think of a single person that was just like, why did they get this person to play this character? It's like, if they think he's a good choice.
Terrence Howard, Iron Man 1.
They fixed that. They fixed that.
Thanos' brother.
Oh,
Harry Styles.
I think that was a
Eternals.
Yep.
I would argue most of the Eternals was a miss.
I actually just rewatched Eternals this weekend. I think it was underrated. I think it's actually better than most people remember.
Okay,
maybe.
But I will say I will say Harry Styles was that was definitely, I did not like that. So okay, granted, most of 99% of the time their casting is on.
You're right. Yeah.
So I think with an actor like Penn Badgley, I think this is perfect. I would like to see that.
Okay.
But related to Fantastic Four, Matt Shakman, he was previously attached to direct Star Trek 4, the Chris Pine Star Trek 4, but he is actually backing out of Star Trek 4 to instead direct Fantastic Four. He's moving from one 4 to the next 4.
Right.
So what does this mean for Star Trek?
I don't think it's horrible. I think really with Star Trek is making sure that the same actors are cast. I think there are I think there are good directors out there who will be fine with that.
I'd like them to bring back Abrams.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm sure that they would have if they could have.
How hard did they really try?
So Paramount Pictures released a statement, and I quote, "Matt Shakman is an incredibly talented filmmaker, and we regret the timing didn't align for him to direct our upcoming Star Trek film. We are grateful for his many contributions, are excited about the creative vision of his next chapter, and look forward to bringing it to audiences all around the world." And they emphasize that the Star Trek 4 movie is a top priority. And they were originally scheduling it for a December 2020 or December 22, 2023 release. So that's likely not going to happen now without a director. But so it is nice that Paramount is emphasizing their Star Trek properties, which is nice.
I was thinking about who could be a good director for that, and that we've seen in the sci-fi realm that have been doing good jobs. I would say Dave Filoni might be a good director, or at least add to the story. And then I'm forgetting her name. She's directed a lot of the Mandalorian episodes. Ron Howard's daughter. What is
Bryce
her name?
Dallas Howard?
Dallas Howard. Yes. I
Yeah,
think
she'd be a good one.
They're both so heavily involved in Star Trek, though. I don't know if Disney's willing to loan them out. Or Star Wars, excuse me.
Right. And I understand that. I mean, sometimes you just have to see, okay, who's good?
Yeah.
And then worry about, figure out the details later. So you heard it here first.
All right, let's move into our next story. And this is Jason's favorite segment. Josh was right. So we have another Josh was right prediction confirmed. And granted, I will say this is a half right prediction.
No, it's right.
So back in Eat Sleep Nerd episode 16, we were talking about Netflix and how they're just messing everything up. Josh mentioned that the Umbrella Academy was likely going to be the next thing canceled. So he was half right in that technically it is ending after the renewal for season 4. So Netflix came out and said that Umbrella Academy has been renewed for a 4th season, but it's also the final season.
So it was canceled.
All right.
So it was canceled. Let's boil this down to its essence here. It was canceled.
Was it planned? Is this part of the Netflix cuts, or was it only supposed to be 4 seasons?
They're letting it have its death throes, but it's canceled.
Yeah. I think they realized that there is a pretty substantial fan base for this show. So it'd be kind of,
but it's no bigger than it was last time.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, like, they don't want to like just give the middle finger to the audience that actually likes this show and just cancel it without a conclusion. So they're going to give it like a send off, a fourth.
I don't even think it's that. I don't even think it's that. They've given the middle finger to the audience 1 billion times. They don't care about that. I think what they've realized is, I think this is the happy medium between the way they've been thinking and the way they're going to have to think. Because as we pointed out, their business plan is if it doesn't bring in new subscribers, it gets the axe. But I think they're starting to realize they've done that to so many shows that they're running out of original shows.
Yeah.
So now I think
they're running out of Netflix.
Yeah. Like I think they've realized that, okay, maybe the criteria needs to be if it's one of our biggest shows and it doesn't move the needle too much, then we need to plan to end it.
Yeah.
So this is kind of maybe the happy middle, but the point is, called it. It was the next show they canceled.
Oh gosh!
So yes, it's unfortunate. I just started watching it. It's a pretty good,
series. Yeah, I really
so far, but it's also it's a niche show.
Mm-hmm. It's very quirky. Yeah, you're either
it's
into
very
it or you're
quirky.
Not. Yeah,
exactly.
Like it's fun. It's not one I would tell my parents they should go watch because I know it's not their thing. You know what I mean? Like,
like if you stumble upon it, you're gonna like it, but I'm not gonna recommend it. Yeah.
So,
but no, I like Umbrella Academy. I'm glad it's getting a nice conclusion with a fourth and final season. So moving into our next story, obviously Warner Brothers, just things coming from left field, right field, all over the place these past few weeks about things getting canceled and everything.
This is my favorite segment of the show.
The Warner Brothers dumpster fire update segment.
Yeah.
So they announced
when we get to this part, can you just play like a crackling fire? Like, maybe like a garbage truck back.
Oh, that's funny. I think that's hilarious.
I'll see what I can do. So they officially announced this week that there are some movie delays. Nothing being canceled yet, but there are some delays, and significant delays at that. So both Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2 were both originally scheduled. Well, I say originally, they were delayed multiple times, but most recently they were scheduled for release later this year. Shazam 2, though, has now been moved to March 17th of next year. Aquaman 2 has gotten a huge delay to December 25th, 2023. So I'm delayed by almost a year.
Wow.
They've also delayed a few other movies, but the two notable ones are Shazam 2 and Aquaman 2. The news is coming out from some inside sources that these delays are not because of production issues. They are delays because they just can't afford to market them. They only have enough money to market 3 more films this year.
Wow. I'm not sure that they need to. Everybody's been talking these up for quite some time. Well, and we've been talking about delays and everything else. Like, we're all kind of just ready for the movies to come out. So
yeah, the people, your target audience is on the internet. All you got to do is put out a tweet that says the movie comes out on Friday.
That's all.
We'll go.
That's it.
Like, we're actually a really easy crowd. Like, I know they're all going to be terrible. I'm still going to go
in the hopes that maybe something fantastic will come out of it. Yeah.
Maybe they're going to surprise me.
Or while we're talking about those 2 movies, we'll talk about The Flash, and apparently the reviews that are coming in for The Flash are really good. And that's why they're trying to save it. And save the publicity with Ezra Miller.
Well, they've had 10 years to work on it.
Yeah, so the reports were coming out that the most recent test screening for The Flash is scoring the highest ratings for a DC movie since Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy, which obviously scored really high. So yes, obviously The Flash is scoring really high. So it seems like they're trying to stick to their guns and release that on the most recent scheduled date in, I think, May. Is that correct? But anyway, so with The Flash in mind, now that Aquaman 2 has been delayed, that means that it's now coming out after The Flash, which means, does it still make sense to have Ben Affleck in Aquaman 2 appearing as Batman if his sole reason was to come in there to replace Michael Keaton because it didn't make sense in continuity because he had not yet reappeared in The Flash.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So the original story was that the reason Ben Affleck was coming back in Aquaman 2 was because he was replacing the cameo that Michael Keaton was going to be making because he had originally debuted in The Flash that was first going to come out before Aquaman 2. But when The Flash got delayed, the audiences were confused about why Michael Keaton was showing up. So they put Ben Affleck in to replace him. But now that Aquaman 2 is coming out after The Flash, it would then make sense to put Michael Keaton back in. But that does not seem to be the case.
Quick, Robin, get the bat yo-yo.
So
Wow.
the bat boomerang, maybe?
Oh, Batman. There you go.
Yeah.
Which
The
is
old
just a battery.
Bat and switch. I mean, bait and switch, sorry.
The Batman.
Ah. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the thing that has been said over and over again is that the ending of The Flash is still not set.
Mhm.
Like they've had an entire actual decade to figure this out, and they haven't quite stuck the landing yet.
Yeah.
So it can be anything. I'm sure at this point they've got so much footage they could deep fake whatever they needed to just to make it work. But, and this is the more important fact, I don't care anymore.
Oh no!
Like this is this has all become again just such a dumpster fire that I'm just kind of waiting to get through it and just end it so that we can get to hopefully a new era. So I'm kind of at the point I don't really care. Have both of them there. I don't care. Like it's whatever. They could be having tea together. Yeah. Like it's or really lean into it, scrap all of that, and bring in Pattinson. I don't care. Like we're just at that point. Let's just get this over with so we can reboot and move on with our lives.
Josh is done.
You have officially broken me. I am just over it.
Oh,
again,
I'm so sorry.
I don't care as long as I get to see Michael Keaton as Batman one more time.
Well, I will say, I mean, having said that, it does not seem like they're going to put him back in. It still seems like Ben Affleck is going to fulfill that cameo in Aquaman 2.
Now it's just not going to make sense. It's whatever. I don't care.
Right.
I've broken your spirit. So no, I just like this is my favorite segment. I'm going to miss it when it's gone. But
I don't think it's going away.
like it's whatever.
The
I don't care.
WBDC dumpster fire.
Oh gosh. So that's Warner Brothers, the latest with them. So really the only other DC movie coming out this year is Black Adam, which we will be talking about in October. So let's move on to our next story. Let's talk about video games. I want to talk about video games for a change.
Yeah, Corey really wants to talk about this video game.
We never get to talk about them.
Because there's never any news.
But his thing is the games. That's his thing.
Yeah, but there's never any video game news because every video game has a 6-year development now. And so we went from getting 20 games a year to 2, and the 2 that you get every year are delayed till next year. So there's nothing to talk about.
All right.
This is fun.
So this past week, the Gamescom trade fair happened. So Gamescom, for those that are not aware, is the world's largest gaming event every year. Hundreds of thousands of people show up for it. And this year it kicked off with, I forget what they were calling it. It's like the opening night something. But basically it was a press conference for a bunch of developers to come in and show off upcoming games, most of which were previously not announced. So the opening night ceremonies, I guess they were calling them, announced several new video games. I'm not going to detail all of them, but there was a huge emphasis on sci-fi games and fantasy games that I think you guys might enjoy and our audience might enjoy. So I just picked out a few of the highlights. So during Gamescom, all of these games were announced. Where Winds Meet, an open world game set in medieval China.
Looks gorgeous.
An Age of Empires 4 expansion, Ottomans and Malayans?
Ready for Empire 5.
Atlas Fallen, a Monster Hunter style fantasy game where sand is your weapon. So you actually can shapeshift weapons using the sand.
Interesting.
To fight monsters and stuff.
Anakin Skywalker hates sand. Next.
Tales from the Borderlands. This was heavily rumored, but it is officially coming out from, I think, Telltale Games. So the little spinoff from the Borderlands franchise.
Just be clear on this. So the Borderlands is an open world game. And this is going to be a Telltale game where it's story driven.
So this is This is a sequel. There was already a Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh,
It was one of the last games that Telltale put together before it went bankrupt.
oh,
But
okay,
now,
okay.
Telltale has been brought back by a series of investors who thought their games were wonderful. And this is going to be one of the first projects that they're putting back out,
Gotcha.
if I understand it
And
correctly.
I should clarify, it actually is called New Tales from the Borderlands. So yes,
Okay.
Josh is correct. This is
What
actually a
was it?
sequel to the.
Stop that! Stop!
What was
You need to be careful what you say, Corey. You
What?
need to know this.
What was it?
So yes, this is a follow up to the original Telltale spinoff from Borderlands, New Tales from the Borderlands. So that is coming
Gotcha.
out this October. Next game is The Lords of the Fallen, a dark fantasy RPG.
Didn't we already make this game?
It is technically number 2. It is
Yeah,
The
there
Lords
it
of the
is.
Fallen 2, but they actually renamed it just The Lords of the Fallen, which is
Yeah, because the
super
first one
confusing.
sucked.
So I think it's actually kind of like a soft reboot. I don't know. It's very confusing.
It's like naming every Batman movie Batman. Oh, wait.
Who does that?
Exactly
Oh, yeah.
what we do. Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
All right. The next game, Dead Island 2. So this one has been requested for a long time. It is officially happening.
Well, they changed studios.
Yes.
They announced it originally, and then it went years, no one heard anything, and then they were like, oh, by the way, we fired those guys. And now it's back.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is Dead Island 2 supposed to be about?
Zombies.
Yeah. On an
Zombies.
island.
That's really it. That's it. Zombies on an island.
Thank you both.
It's a slasher game. So like you just go around and killing
No,
zombies.
I mean, really, like I wish there was more to tell you, but that's it.
So is it like Left
So-
4 Dead, that kind of stuff?
yeah.
Yeah, like it is narrative. There's a story usually, but
Okay.
I mean, yeah, the point is you're killing
You're
zombies.
just hacking
in
through
paradise.
zombies on an island.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Next game. We're getting into the sci-fi now. So Stranded Alien Dawn. It is a planet survival sim from the city builder devs of games like Surviving Mars. So it actually looks pretty cool. You actually crash land on a planet and you get to just survive on this unknown alien.
Yeah. I'll definitely.
So kind of like Castaway and The Martian meet.
That is, I mean,
Yes.
yes.
You're not wrong.
All right, getting into some more story-driven games, also still sci-fi. Under the Waves, an ocean exploration story-driven game from Quantic Dream. So Quantic Dream is a studio most famous for games like
For
Heavy Rain,
Detroit.
Detroit, yes.
Mhm.
They're actually currently working on a new Star Wars game with the same concept, a story-driven, pick-your-own-adventure type of game. So they are working on a new game that takes place in the ocean. So that should be pretty cool. I will definitely be playing that.
Yeah, cool.
Moving on to another Telltale Games game, The Expanse, a sci-fi space game that kind of gives me Dead Space vibes. So that should be pretty cool from Telltale yet again. So it's going to be heavily focused on the story.
Is it based on the TV show?
Oh,
I was wondering
I don't
the
know.
same.
I did not look that heavily into it, so maybe. I don't know. I've never seen it, so I don't know. But yeah, it looks awesome. Obviously, it has the trademark Telltale Games artistry and stuff, so it is very stylized. But it should be pretty cool.
Cel-shaded and whatnot.
Yeah, it should be pretty cool. My favorite one that was announced is Scars Above, another dark sci-fi action game. And the description of it is Scars Above is a challenging sci-fi third-person action-adventure shooter combining the rewarding feel of overcoming difficulty with a compelling and intricate story set in a mysterious alien world to explore. I highly recommend going and watching this trailer that was debuted at Gamescom. If you have not yet seen it, the trailer was fire. Like the music was epic and it was beautiful.
So Space Elden Ring? So is that what I'm hearing here?
Kind of. It takes inspiration from recent games like Returnal, so it does have those kind of vibes. But yeah, it looks awesome. I am massively looking forward to this game. And then the last game we're going to be talking about that I think, Jason, you should be interested in, Dune Awakening.
Yes.
An open world survival MMO set in the Dune world. It will be taking inspiration from both Frank Herbert's novels as well as the Academy Award winning film, while also exploring exciting new possibilities in the franchise.
Yes.
It is a massively multiplayer online game. so we'll be dooning with fellow players. But I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I watched the trailer and I saw that it was an MMORPG. And that is definitely not one of my favorite genres in any way, but it does look good, and the Dune kind of pushes it over the edge for me. So I do want to check it out.
Yeah,
I do want to check it out. I'm sorry.
Audiences, you cannot see it, but Josh just gave Jason a death stare. He did not appreciate that pun.
It wasn't even a good pun.
Those are the best.
But no, I have been waiting for a good MMO ever since Star Wars Galaxies to just reel me in, and that was like 20 years ago. So this one might do it. This one might bring me back to MMO playing because it looks pretty cool. It's from the same developers that did the Age of Conan MMO, so they have a little bit of a repertoire of MMO building. So they should know what they're doing. So I have high hopes. All right, let's get into our reviews and impressions segment. I have not mentioned this in a while, but warning, there are spoilers in this segment. So if you have not seen these things or played these things, stop what you're doing, go watch, then come back.
Make sure if you all had been listening for the last 20, 21 episodes, like good followers that, we have tons and tons of, you guys would know how we are. But, so whatever, it's fine. It doesn't matter, Corey.
Jason, you have some thoughts? You got some feelings over there?
I think more people should be listening to us. I think a lot of people are missing out, like the whole world, but whatever.
Like the whole world. All right, let's start with She-Hulk episode 2. So it was a very short episode, and I guess we kind of knew that this was going to be a sitcom. So sitcoms are traditionally pretty short, half-hour shows. We were kind of spoiled with the first episode that was about 40 minutes long, but this one was definitely about 22 minutes long. So pretty short, ended before I thought it should have, but there's a lot of speculation type things we can talk about with this episode. But initial thoughts, we can just start with that. How do you feel after 2 episodes of She-Hulk so far?
For me, I thought this episode was far and away better than the first one. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. There were some parts that surprisingly got to me, like emotionally.
Really?
Yeah, like I was sitting there going, like, why am I feeling this strongly about this little montage thing?
Why is this superhero show making me feel my feelings?
Right, exactly. So that was kind of surprising. But I think they brought the show into the Marvel universe very firmly with this episode. Like, I would say more so than just by having the Hulk in the last episode.
To build on that, I would say that in addition to bringing their own show into it, they solidified the canonicity of the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's long been, like, we all know it's canon, but like, how canon is it really?
You mean the movie, The Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
So let's say that for a second. We'll circle back around to that, but overall feelings about the episode.
No, it's good. I think this is a better, kind of like Jason said, I think this is a better representation of what the show is going to be, as opposed to the pilot. I guess we don't do pilots anymore, as opposed to the first episode. Mm-hmm. So no, I mean, I think it's going to be short, quick, funny, entertaining.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't.
It's like something like it's not like a hugely groundbreaking show, but like it's fun to watch.
Well, I think also like there's a ton of little Easter eggs in this episode, and so especially for the attention deprived youth of our of our world, this is probably going to be one of the better and more successful Marvel shows because 20 minutes. It's easy to focus on for 20 minutes. So no, I mean, I like it. I'm going to keep watching. I think this also settled the debate of, is the CGI going to be good or not? She-Hulk looks incredible, and it's definitely looking like for the majority of the show, that's how she's going to look. Like, she's going to be She-Hulk most of the time.
Which is funny because it actually came out a couple of weeks ago before the show debuted. Kevin Feige instructed the writers of the show to actually focus more on her Jennifer persona rather than the Hulk persona because they wanted to cut costs.
Oh, yeah. a fully digital character is not cheap.
Yeah.
Especially when you have to do it to Marvel standards.
Yeah, I've been surprised that she has been She-Hulk as much as she has, because it sounded like they were going to try to cut costs as much as possible. But yeah, so overall, after 2 episodes, I'm loving it. My biggest complaint with the first episode was that just the treatment of Hulk being Smart Hulk, and just rushing through the story. But after 2 episodes, I just sat back and enjoyed it. So I will be pumping my score up, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's talk about some speculation stuff. So I think the big thing is Abomination is here, played by Tim Roth, who played Abomination all the way back in the first The Incredible Hulk movie that kind of unofficially kickstarted the MCU.
And this is where Edward Norton was playing the Hulk, Bruce Banner.
And he reprised his Abomination role in last year's Shang-Chi. So Tim Roth is back, still doing things. So there is actually one. He is looking. It's been a while.
That was my first thought. Like, no offense to the dude. I mean, I look older than 33, but yeah, that was my first thought. I said, man, Tim Roth is getting old. Because in my head, he's always Pulp Fiction age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
wow. Yeah, that's like,
you know what I mean? Like, and that was 30 years ago. Like,
yeah. I think you're being harsh then.
Well, to be fair, it's the same thing. Like,
no, you're right.
Harrison Ford
is 100% right.
Harrison Ford is still 30 something in my head. So
yeah.
I don't know.
So in the episode, Jennifer, in her lawyer form, goes to the prison to talk to Abomination. And in his cell, he mentions something that I think might be a reference to something. Obviously, he's talking about how he's reformed and everything, but he mentions that he's on loan to the U.S. government, along with 7 soulmates that he met through a prison pen pal program that he wants to start a new life with. Is that a Thunderbolts tease?
Ooh.
Well, yeah.
Josh is just like,
no, why wouldn't it be? Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know this was up for debate. Yeah. That's
okay, sorry. This wasn't Josh was right. This was Josh was certain.
He is convinced.
Yeah. I knew it was something because they mentioned it twice in like 3 minutes. And I was like, okay, so these 7 soulmates or something. I don't know what that is. But that makes sense now that you guys say, you bring up the Thunderbolts, and Josh is like, well, duh. I'm like, sorry. I didn't get it.
And like now we officially know that Thunderbolts, a movie, is happening. It's coming. So like it does make sense to start talking about it now.
Yeah, this is the genesis of the Thunderbolts. Yeah.
And yet again, spoilers, but at the end of the episode, we know that Abomination breaks out of prison. So
right. And
that he has been breaking out of prison.
Or been
because
allowed
someone released the footage of the Underground Fight Club.
That's right.
From Shang-Chi.
And I'm really glad that they did that, because the whole time I was talking, they were talking and having the interview in the prison. I was like, well, if he's in prison, how the heck was he, in the fight? Yeah. And I'm glad that they addressed it. Because now I can enjoy the episode and not wonder until the next episode. They've got it squared away. At least it's going to be addressed. So
yeah,
I was like, thank you. Okay, fair enough.
Thanks. So moving into our next little topic to talk about with She-Hulk. So when Jennifer was scrolling on her laptop on the couch in that one scene, we get a very quick glimpse of what's on her laptop screen. And there's a few things to take away from this. And I'm sharing the screenshot with Josh and Jason. I will share this in the show notes as well. There are 3 things to take away. First, there's a little screenshot of Iron Man shoes, which is just pretty cool.
Iron Man 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next little thing is there's a little link to an article that's labeled, "Why is there a giant statue of man sticking out of the ocean?" which is a reference to Eternals.
Okay, good. Okay.
Which is funny because
it's been a running joke. Yeah.
No one has talked about this giant thing that appeared in Eternals, and we've had a lot of content since then. So it's kind of funny that it just has not been a talking point. So the little shout out here to it. But then the big takeaway from this little tease of her laptop screen is another link to an article that's labeled "Man Fights with Metal Claws in Bar Brawl." Now, is this our first unofficial mention or indirect mention of Wolverine?
Well, yeah.
In the MCU?
That's my guess.
I would think so.
Is this just an Easter egg, or is it actually teasing Wolverine's coming pretty soon?
This one's so subtle, I'm just going to say it's an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think we're gonna round the corner and have the Wolverine announcement. I don't think it's that close. But it is cute, and it's nice that they're acknowledging that. So no, I'm calling that one a straight up Easter egg.
Basically, somebody had to go through back through the show, slow that scene down, take a screenshot in order to see what was on the screen. Pretty much.
Well, okay, so you say that. I don't know if you guys are even aware, but with all of these Disney Plus Marvel shows, Disney has been sneaking in QR codes into each episode that are just hidden throughout the show. We can actually scan the QR code to go download a free comic. And that QR code for this episode. Yeah, right. So if you're actually watching any of these shows, you can actually just find the QR code and scan it and get a free comic. But on this episode, that QR code was on that laptop. So they wanted you to look at that laptop because that's where the QR code for the free comic was. So
interesting. Did you know that, Josh?
I did not.
Look at me go.
So maybe it's a little more than just an Easter egg. Maybe a little more.
Yeah. I don't know.
But still, I still think you're right. It's not so much where we have anything coming up anytime soon, but I think it's Marvel acknowledging that they now have access to those characters and they're going to start doing stuff with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's circle back around to what Josh was mentioning before. Let's talk about some
Josh.
Hulk
Always
stuff.
about what Josh says.
Don't be jealous of the star.
I'm not jealous. Whatever.
Calm down, Shatner.
So Jennifer called Bruce towards the end of the episode because she was worried that Bruce was going to have hurt feelings, that she was going to be representing Abomination, who famously got in a huge fight with the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk movie all those years ago. And Bruce quickly said, and I quote, "That fight was so many years ago. I'm a completely different person now." Literally. So first, just a little shout out there that it actually was a completely different actor playing Hulk all those movies ago. But they are officially recognizing that the Incredible Hulk, the movie, was canon. So they're referencing that movie there. But more importantly, he is on that ship. Where is he going?
So that was
to smash.
It's just Sakaran. So he's going back to the Game Master's planet.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking too. But why? So first of all, in the first episode, we saw that the spaceship, is what drove them off the road. Why are they coming after Hulk?
Because he broke all their stuff.
Maybe
I don't know.
Because there was a revolt on Sakaar, and they need.
Yeah, we did not leave that place in a good situation.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking, technically, the Hulk was owned by the Game Master. So I'm wondering if maybe he's just trying to collect his debts now. Like, hey, you are my property. I did not let you leave. I want you back. Come pay for all this damage and havoc you caused. So.
And you left, and I still have money to collect.
Now there is one other little thing that it could be referencing. In a recent interview, Mark Ruffalo with Entertainment Weekly has teased Berserker Hulk. I cannot say that. So in this article, this interview with Entertainment Weekly, Mark Ruffalo says, and I quote, "The cool thing about this world is that it could be just anything. 5 years from now, it could totally morph into anything, whatever's pertinent at that time. I almost see him," referring to Hulk, "going back to Berserker Hulk or even World War Hulk. It could go anywhere. That's the exciting part. I've played 5 different versions from beginning to now, and that's kept it interesting for me, and I hope interesting for other people." So he's specifically referencing like the Hulk that we have been talking about wanting back, the Berserker Hulk. But he also mentioned specifically World War Hulk.
Oh, well, you say that, and then that makes me think, he was a gladiator in Hulk form for 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's to say he doesn't have any kids from those 2 years?
Doesn't Hulk have, in the comics, doesn't he have a kid?
Yeah, in some stories.
Yeah.
To me, this seems more, I think we're on the right track here. I'm almost wondering if when he says Berserker Hulk, he's referring to the device that he's wearing. Because even the way he phrased it was it suppresses the other guy. Because you got to remember, the Hulk is a completely separate persona from Bruce Banner. It's literally a whole other person. And so I'm wondering if at some point the Hulk's going to be tired of being suppressed. And when he comes out, it's going to be uncontrollable.
So one would say going berserk.
Yeah. So to me, that would be the next logical. Because again, like, it's at the end of the day, comic book movies are about one thing, and it's about getting back to the status quo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the best things about the new Peter Parker, or the new Spider-Man movie. So it ends with Peter Parker being the Peter Parker from the comics, alone, broke, regular suit, status quo.
Not part of the
How
Avengers.
do we get back? Yeah, how do we get back to Hulk and Bruce being Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde without undoing everything that we've done up to this point?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Hulk gets tired of being suppressed, rages out, and Bruce accepts that he has to be two people in one body. Back to the status quo.
So I just want to point out here that we started this conversation about the show She-Hulk, and this has become a conversation about the Hulk because of She-Hulk. So what's going on is the Hulk is still the primary character, and this series has to do something to establish She-Hulk as at least an equally important character.
Yeah, or else it's not her show anymore.
Because right now, even with us, we're talking about her as a secondary character, and the Hulk is
in her own
primary
show
conversation right now.
Well,
So,
I mean, it's also worth noting that if it's a super valid point.
Yeah,
and I would say that's probably puts a pin on the show's weakest point so far, and that's that in and of herself, She-Hulk really hasn't done anything interesting yet. It's not to say she won't do anything interesting, but so far she's mostly just been a narrator going through different events. Hopefully that changes.
And maybe this approval by Bruce to let her do her own thing, maybe that was the handoff for the rest of the series.
Yeah, well, they've even said that Hulk is not going to be in every episode. So
right.
Maybe we should think of this as the first episode part 2.
I mean, yeah.
Because it is still setting things up.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And we did get that huge tease at the end that she was having to deal with Abomination breaking out of prison. So that does set up a huge plot point for probably the next episode. So yeah, I think we're about to get into the thick of it. So let's get into scores real quick. I'm going to start. Previously, after the first episode, I was giving it a 3 out of 5. But I am bumping it up because I enjoyed this episode. We're starting to really get She-Hulk intertwined with the rest of the MCU. Plus, I was still enjoying the humor of it. So I'm bumping my score up to a 4 out of 5. What about you, Josh?
I'm going to leave it at a 4.
Okay.
Nothing got worse. My mind wasn't blown either, though. So right now, it is still firmly a good show.
Yep.
So I'm going to give it a 4 Hulk chores out of 5.
You watch the after credits, the post credits.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 4.25. I did like it better, but I still want to see where it goes.
Okay, perfect. We will be continuing to cover this show going forward. So next week we'll be talking about the 3rd episode. But let's move into quickly to talk about our first video game review on this show. I can't believe it's taken 21 episodes. So obviously you guys have not played it, but I have played the new Saints Row game. I know, Josh, you played, I think, the first Saints Row game all the way back on the Xbox 360.
I played all 4, bro.
You did? Wow, I did not know that. Jason,
get it straight, bro.
Have you ever played a Saints Row game, Jason? I don't think you have, because it's definitely graphic.
Is it like a Grand Theft Auto type thing?
So that's actually going to be one of my talking points, but simple answer, yes.
I mean, essentially, yes.
Yeah, I know about it, but that's about it. So, but yes, do tell.
So the Saints Row series has been very different in each game. First game was basically a GTA clone, open world, drive anywhere, shoot anyone, hijack any car, stuff like that. But the first game, it was pretty story driven, and it was basically Grand Theft Auto but focused on gangs. I loved the original game, and it put a huge emphasis on customization and everything, which was a fun twist on the Grand Theft Auto genre. The second game kind of tried to separate itself from Grand Theft Auto, introduced a little bit more humor, but I loved Saints Row 2. Like, that game I have played probably 5 times, if not more. You became the leader of the gangs, like you built your empire of the Saints from the ground up. I loved that aspect of the game. Saints Row 3 kind of lost me a little bit because it started to get a little bit more over the top in the humor and everything. And Saints Row 4 completely lost me, where it was kind of like the whole Thor Ragnarok versus Thor Love and Thunder. Like, Thor Ragnarok introduced a lot of humor, but then Thor Love and Thunder just went way over the top with it. That's kind of what happened to Saints 4 with me. Like, you were the leader of a gang, but also the president of the United States, and there were aliens. Like, it was a lot. I could not.
And you ended up in the Matrix. I loved Saints Row 4.
I could not do it. It was so ridiculous to me.
I thought it was awesome because at that point they'd even quit trying to pretend they were being serious.
Like, it was funny.
Hilarious.
It was funny, but it was just, the game was just, it lost me.
The game starts out with you riding a rocket into space, like holding on with your bare hands while they blast Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Yeah. Like, it was a spectacle. It was a spectacle.
It's fantastic. Coy doesn't know what he's talking about.
That was all the way back in 2013. But we officially got a reboot. It is a brand new story, brand new characters, brand new everything. It's a reboot of the Saints Row franchise. They were originally saying that it was going to be kind of like a cross between Saints Row 2 and 3, simplifying the humor again, bringing it a little bit more down to earth, but still some over-the-top stuff. And so I wasn't quite sure going into it as a lover of Saints Row 2, but not so much 3 and 4, if I was going to like this game or not. And I booted it up, and it actually started with a pretty dark opening for the story, and then cut right into something ridiculous. So I was like, ooh, I'm not sure I'm going to like this. And so I played for about an hour, and I wasn't sure if I was going to keep playing. Like, I had to turn it off because I was like, the humor is just a little bit too much for me. But I was like, oh, something's drawing me back. I want to keep playing this. And so I turned it back on a little bit later that day, and I played for like 6 hours straight. I love this game. It is definitely a little ridiculous in terms of humor, but not so much that I'm turned off by it. Because I like realism in my games. Like, I play games not to escape to a different world. I play games to have alternate role-playing takes on the world I currently live in, which is maybe kind of weird, and most people don't.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank totally does that. Yeah.
Okay, there were exceptions. There were exceptions. Like, that's why I like games like Grand Theft Auto so much, is that it's the world we live in with a twist.
Gotcha.
Which is why I don't like fantasy and stuff like that. And I'm picky with my sci-fi games. But with Saints Row, it definitely has the real world feel to it. Like, it's our world if it was a ridiculous world and just ridiculous things happened. And that's what I like about it. Like, it's a Grand Theft Auto, and I hate saying that. It's really not Grand Theft Auto. It's separate from what Grand Theft Auto is. So I hate saying it's a Grand Theft Auto clone because it's not that anymore. There are things that would not happen in a Grand Theft Auto game, like just the set pieces, the missions and everything are just kind of ridiculous. For examples, there is an ongoing arc, like one of the side arcs with all the missions and activities and stuff, where it's actually just a citywide LARPing game. And you actually just play this LARPing game where, like, your guns become like dart guns. And when, like, you're hitting someone, it actually, like, you're pulling your punches, so you're not actually hitting them and stuff. And it's just a continuous mission arc where you're just in a LARP across the entire city. And there are like little activities and stuff where you can, like, go dumpster diving, and there's one mission that was basically stripped straight out of John Wick 2, the end of John Wick 2, where a contract is put on his head and he has to, like, escape through the city, but everyone is magically an assassin trying to kill John Wick. It was basically that in Saints Row. Like, a hit was put out on your head, and everyone and their mom on the street becomes an assassin that's trying to kill you for the bounty. Like,
how many times did you have to run that one?
Oh, once, because I am a badass.
Oh,
so
okay then. So what company puts this out?
Volition and Deep Silver.
Okay.
So yes, loving the humor of it, and it is going back to what I loved about Saints Row 2, where you are building your gang from the ground up. So you're recruiting gang members, you are building businesses to run rackets, you are customizing your gang's outfits and cars and everything. So I'm loving that aspect of it. You're customizing your headquarters for the gang. And speaking of customization, like they go all out with what you can customize. Like there are literally thousands of different types of clothes and tattoos and haircuts and stuff you can do with your character.
These aren't microtransactions, those, right? It's all part of the game.
All free.
Okay,
Yep.
good. Okay,
so that's all positives. I'm loving it. There are some downsides, a lot of glitches, which is a little frustrating with a big AAA game like this. Like times where like it doesn't crash, but it's clear that something is not working as far as like missions firing and stuff. So I have to turn it off and refire it so everything reloads. So that's a little frustrating. And like there are some missions where you're supposed to be killing some enemies that are showing up, but like they spawn in places where you can't actually reach them. And if you try to go get to them, it says you're out of the mission zone. So like you fail the mission if you actually go try to complete the mission.
That doesn't
so it's
work.
So it's a little frustrating. There are definitely some big bugs to work out. So that's a little annoying. The control system is a little weird. Like there's not really a melee button. Like you can like maybe be shooting someone, they went up to you and like you can't actually like do a quick punch or something. You have to like put your gun away and then melee them, which is a little weird. So just stuff like that, just weird choices in the design of the game.
What system is this on?
It's on all platforms. Well, I say all platforms. I guess PlayStation and Xbox. I think
which one are you playing it on?
PlayStation.
You're on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, PlayStation 5. So yeah, overall, aside from the glitches that will hopefully get fixed with patches and stuff, I'm hugely enjoying this game, which I was not sure I was going to. Like, after a few hours, I was maybe going to give it like a 3 out of 5. Like, it's a fun game, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. But after probably 25 hours so far, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I'm not done with the story yet, so that could change. So this is a review in progress, so to speak, because it is a pretty big game. But at the moment, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
With how much? What percentage complete?
I'm honestly probably about halfway through. So I am going for the platinum. So I'm doing everything I can.
Of course you are.
So all the side missions and activities and stuff I'm trying to do right now, which is actually another big demerit, is that a lot of the missions are locked behind you completing activities and side missions, which is a little frustrating because like you have to do like a lot of side missions to unlock one mission. So that's a little frustrating. But because I'm doing the platinum, that doesn't bother me that much, but it could turn off some people. So if you are a fan of the Saints Row franchise, especially the first couple of games, I highly recommend. It is a fun time. Don't expect it to be like Grand Theft Auto. It's not. It's a lot more silly. You cannot take it seriously, but it is a fun time. So I'm giving Saints Row the reboot a 4 out of 5, and that could change once I finish the game. So yeah, let's move into House of the Dragon, episode 1.
Wiener, 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 wiener.
Surprise.
Wiener, wiener, wiener.
I actually watched it.
Oh,
Corey.
Yeah.
I'm so surprised.
I know. So on this last episode, we talked about how I wasn't going to watch it, but you know what?
Yeah.
I did. And you know what? I loved it.
figured you would.
Yeah.
Figured you would.
So I will say, Josh, you made me watch, I think it was back in college, you made me watch Game of Thrones. And I don't remember how far we got. It must have been at least 2 seasons, if not more. I never finished it. So like, I don't know how it really ends, aside from what I've seen on the internet with memes and stuff.
To put context onto this for the folks at home, this was when you had to put discs into some sort of player. And you would, every 4 episodes, you had to put in a different disc.
Right.
Like it was.
So you either caught it when it came out, or you had to wait till the box set came out.
Yeah, this was back before HBO Max.
Right.
So I don't honestly remember that much from the original Game of Thrones from what I have seen. It was so long ago. I do remember liking it. I just, because it was a little bit more fantasy, especially as you got further into the show, I fell off of it. I just never really felt the need to go back. But after 1 episode of House of Dragon, I'm just like, give me more episodes. And before we get your thoughts on it, I do want to note for the audience, when this episode comes out, Eat Sleep Nerd episode 21, The second episode of House of the Dragon will have already debuted. Obviously, we have not seen that yet because of our recording schedule. So we're basically always going to be 1 week behind with this show. It is what it is. It gives you more time to go watch it yourself so we don't spoil anything.
Sorry about it. Suck it up, nerds.
That's what HBO gets for releasing things on Sunday.
Who does that?
Yeah, this is our review for episode 1 of House of the Dragon. So Jason, Josh, who wants to take it away from here?
Okay. So turning on the old projector and leaning back in a reclining leather chair with an ice cold Coca-Cola, I had a very interesting feeling, and I feel like it's one of those feelings that's like two feelings on top of each other, and there's probably like a German word for it because they have words for everything like that. But the feeling was almost like if you ever had like a girlfriend who treated you badly, but you still remember her fondly. And so watching a new Game of Thrones episode that I really, really, really liked and I'm so excited for, and it was so good. And in the back of my head, all I'm thinking is, don't hurt me again. Because, I mean, that's what, like, we got to talk about that, right? Like, it's, so anyway, I mean, point is, I loved it. I enjoyed it. It was like going back in time 5 years to the pinnacle of Game of Thrones-ness, where like, that was the show, man. Like, you could come into work on Monday morning and you know people are going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. And it's good. But yeah, that's the thought that I kept coming back to is, okay, you've made me a promise now. Like, if it's gonna suck, it needed to suck right out of the gates. So now it can't be bad. Now you have to stick the landing.
Yeah.
Because you've convinced me to give you a second chance. So yeah, no, I loved it. Matt Smith is a treasure.
He is also a savage in this show.
Well, I'm loving this phase of Matt Smith's career where he's being more bad guys, because he was the bad guy in the greatest Sony film ever released as
God,
in Morbius.
It was so good they brought it back for a second theater release.
Correct. We're this close to getting him to release it a third time in theaters. We just had to let Sony know that we were all busy the last time they did it. We just needed to put it out one more time. We'll go see it again, I promise.
So talking about Matt Smith, obviously Doctor Who did that for a long time. That's how everyone came to know him. So I was worried that with my knowledge of him playing this gentle giant of Doctor Who, that it was going to be hard to watch him in this pretty gritty, terrible person of a character. But you know what? I loved it. He killed it. He is killing it. Like, he is fun to watch, slice people's heads off. So yeah, I can't wait to see him more, because I definitely think his character is going to do something pretty bad at some point. I get that vibe.
Yeah,
get that vibe.
He's a bad guy that I want to stick around for a little while, but it's Game of Thrones. So the baller move would be to kill him off like on the 4th episode after building him up so big. You know what I mean? Like that would solidify that Game of Thrones feeling. Yeah. Oh, you killed my favorite character. There's the show I remember.
So what about you, Jason? How are you doing after this? Because you never watched Game of Thrones, did you?
No. I've seen 2 of the episodes, but I read the books when they first came out.
Oh wow!
Long before.
I have not done that.
Yeah, the series.
So he still doesn't know how it ends.
No.
Because they haven't finished that yet, have you, George R.R. Martin?
No, he is not. Yeah, and we're all like, I think A Dance with Dragons came out like 5 seasons in to the actually series, and it was like, anyway. So not. So I have the knowledge of reading the books, but I never watched the series, and so I'm watching this spin-off series prequel, and I was wondering how I would relate, or if there were going to be things in there that I was just missing because I didn't see it in the series. I thoroughly enjoyed the episode. It was a little, I would say, for me, it was a little slow. But I also see that they're sowing the seeds of discord in the King's Council. They're sowing the seeds of rebellion in his daughter. So I think it was a necessary episode, and it was really well done. I just wish it was a little faster paced. So, but otherwise, it was very good. It was a very good episode. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was long too. It was like an hour and 15.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's they definitely, don't get me wrong. I understand where you're coming from. But that was also one of the beauties of the original show, was that it was kind of a slow burn, but usually that burn paid off pretty hard as soon as the fire kicked.
That's true.
So like
That's true.
And I didn't even find, I didn't think it was, I get where you're coming from. I didn't feel like it was particularly slow. I understand the sentiment, but no, like I'm in.
I think the casting of Patty Considine as King Targaryen was good, because he is not your typical kingly looking person.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks kind of weak. And I think that was intentional, because his character, you could tell, is kind of flailing around for stability. Like he didn't, like when the episode opens, he doesn't know if he's having a son, which is, he really needs a son. And then he gets the son, but then spoilers again, the son dies shortly after childbirth. He loses his wife. So he's flailing around even more, and he's more uncertain of himself. And, barbarians are at the borders, pirates are at the borders, he seems weak, and he seems unsure. And I think the casting was perfect.
Yeah, he's the kind of king that does well when things are going well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're looking for a king who's going to sit up there and kiss babies and shake hands and doesn't really have to worry about too much else, he's killing it. Funny thing about him, the actor, he was originally approached to be in the original Game of Thrones, and he said, I'm not really too into the whole idea of there being dragons. So now he signs on to the prequel, where there are literally 10 times as many dragons. Yeah, so
yes,
interesting. I don't anticipate him lasting too long.
Oh, that brings up good segue. So I'm going to do something that's going to be kind of stupid, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a speculation after every single episode where we speculate who's going to die next. So I'm speculating that the king is going to die first.
Yeah, it's got to be. That's going to be. Daemon has not truly gone home. He's hanging around, and I'm thinking he's going to take his brother out. He's gonna kick this thing off.
Unless you guys have more thoughts, I think we get into scores. We're scoring this the entire season as a whole. So after one episode, how are we feeling, Jason?
I'm going to give it a 4.5.
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 because I cannot think of a reason to hold it back from a 5 out of 5. And
that's saying something for Mr. Non-Fantasy Boy over there. So
it didn't. So that's the thing. I think that's what I liked about it, is that aside from the dragon, it wasn't really fantasy. It was just medieval feeling. You're
right. It does have a very just medieval kingdom historical feel to it. Yes. Until the dragons pop up.
They were just there for set dressing. Like they hadn't done anything.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So yeah, until there's a reason for me to not like it, it is a 5 out of 5. So what about you, Josh?
Cool.
I am. I try to stick to the whole numbers. So in that case, I'm going to give it a generous, because I don't feel like it was perfect, but it was very close to perfect. So I'm going to give it 5 funeral dragons out of 5.
All right. So after one episode, we are giving it a 4.83.
That feels right.
Yeah.
I'd accept that.
All right. And as a reminder, we will be continuing to cover the show on a weekly basis, but we will be a week and 1 day behind every time. So it gives you more time to watch and catch up.
Deal with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps it up for episode number 21 of Eat, Sleep, Nerd. Coming up next week, we will be talking about She-Hulk episode 3, House of the Dragon episode 2, Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power episodes 1 and 2, and who knows what else. We'll see.
And then me and Corey, we're going to review The Sandman. By golly.
Yes. Maybe Josh will get around to it if he gets bored. Who knows?
No.
He's not doing it.
Maybe.
Nope, he said no.
God, he's doubling down again. God, whatever.
Spoilers. It's surprisingly good.
It's an
Yeah.
anti-Netflix house.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Netflix house. He's not going to resubscribe for that one thing.
No.
All right. And don't forget to share this show with
Yes.
anyone, literally anyone.
Right.
Like, help us out. We can't do it all on our own. We need your help.
Well, they have to have the internet as well. I mean, if they don't have the internet, it doesn't help. If you share it with somebody who doesn't have the internet. So,
If they don't have the internet, download this podcast for them. Give them your phone.
look at you. A problem
And just
solver.
let them have
Warrior's
your
a problem
phone.
solver.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Take grandma's
I like that.
phone. Open up podcast and hit
Open
subscribe.
Open up the jitterbug. Wait.
Wow. Download the podcast, burn it onto a disc, and let them listen to the podcast on CD.
On CD. Yes. Yes. No. But you need to. You guys are listening to this.
Yeah, and while you're at it, please open up Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star rating. We could use that love too. Like, just any kind of love you want to give us, we'll take it. We're not selfish.
The one thing that this job has taught me is that truth is stranger than fiction.
Take it easy, people.